Pilani, can you check if it came through on your side?
Yeah, it's running through. Just remember to choose the language on when the session starts.
Yeah. It's good. Now, okay. I'm going to change my language. Colleagues, I'm going to go onto the French channel, so I won't be able to hear you. So when you're ready, right? You can start.
Great. Thank you, Salma.
Thank you, Salma. Let's just give it 2 to 3 minutes, as I see that there's still a few colleagues that are coming in. Greetings, colleagues. We are just waiting for more colleagues to come through. We seeing that there's some that are still coming in and out. So we will start exactly at 3 minutes past 3. 2 minutes to go. Thank you. Okay, we can get started. Good afternoon, colleagues. I hope you are well. My name is Gce. I am the Monitoring, Evaluation and Learning Manager from the Gce Secretariat in Johannesburg. I will be delivering this training session with my colleague Vicky Mogani. She is the Gce's Knowledge Management and Learning Officer, also from the Gce Secretariat based in Johannesburg. We are so pleased that you could be able to join us on our first knowledge exchange and learning session, where we will be delivering and giving you how to go about the Gce Learning Hub, as well as the online courses that we will all be launching by the end of this month on the 30th of September. We are going to deliver this training session in 2 different languages, English and French. And before we can actually go on about it, I would like us to take care of the few housekeeping matters. We do have interpretation into French as well as English. There are two different language groups that you can actually listen us from. And we would like you to make use of the interpretation icon on your page that you see on the right side, on the very last of the right side next to the Q&A icon, where you can make a selection of which language you would like to listen the training session on. And those that are interested in listening in English, we would like to encourage you to actually make a selection that you will listen in English, because we are streaming the session in the French language so that we can be able to archive all the languages in which these sessions will be delivered on. During the course of the session, we would like to encourage you to interact with us by making use of the Q&A functionality. We have used the webinar setting to actually deliver this training. So all participants have been muted. So you won't be able to actually talk, but we would like you to make use of the Q&A icon, which is next to the interpretation, and raise your hand in your screen as well. That is for any matters that relate to the content that we are delivering to you. If you do have any questions that you feel like you would like us to address towards the end of the session, please feel free to use that icon. With regards to any technical issues that you might experience from hearing us, if there are any problems with the interpretation, please make use of the chat box functionality. We do have the technical support team on standby. They will be attending to all your technical issues that you are raising, should you experience any. Moving forward, I would like to also just give you a brief in terms of the agenda on what we will be focusing on during the course of the training. Please, next slide, Vicky. We have prepared an exciting agenda with a mix of presentation and the live demonstration of the learning platform. The session will take about 2.5 hours, running from 3 o'clock to 5:30 to 17:30 South African Standard Time, and with an understanding that you are all joining us from different time zones. We have allocated a break for 5 minutes on top of the first hour, of course. And I will start the session with the presentation of the background of our approach to knowledge exchange and learning, as well as we will move forward by demonstrating and providing you with the training on how to go about accessing and making use of the Learning Hub and the online courses that this training will be focused on. Towards the end of the session, we have dedicated 20 minutes for any questions that you might have, but I would like to encourage you to not wait for that 20 minutes. If you do have any questions that you feel like as we go along, you would like us to address at that time, please feel free to make sure that you share them with us through the Q&A icon that I've already shown how to go about getting to it. As well as I would like to also notify you that we are recording this session and we are streaming it live on Facebook in French, and we are doing that only for the purpose of really archiving the session, and also be in the position that if you do need any future refresher trainings on this topic, you can go up and catch up on what you have missed during the training, or what you feel like you can still, you need to actually polish in terms of getting or going about accessing and making use of the hub and the online courses. Okay, next slide, Vicky. So before we can move on to actually presenting the background and as well as our approach to knowledge exchange and learning, I would like to invite Vicky to play us a video which we thought it would be helpful in terms of contextualizing the focus of this training as well as the focus of us having knowledge exchange and learning hub.
Sharing of knowledge. Sharing of knowledge and information has long been a key feature of societies all over the world. Knowledge exchange has always been a process that brings together people, organizations, and communities to exchange ideas, expertise, and experiences, and to increase their collective impact. Throughout history, knowledge has been passed on through writing, through drawing, and through storytelling. Today, new ways of exchanging have emerged. GCE is adapting these new technologies to create a global hub for learning and membership engagement, using modern technologies to easily share, exchange, and learn from each other. Introducing GCE's Membership Engagement and Learning Hub. The Learning Hub supports GCE's efforts for knowledge exchange, shared cross-regional learning, and capacity building. In a global membership community like GCE, knowledge exchange and learning are based on the belief that the network's most valuable resource is the knowledge of its members and its people. Our success is determined by working together. The Learning Hub will be available in all 5 GCE languages and will have online learning activities such as e-learning online courses, access to events offered by members across the world, a repository with access to learning materials and resources, learning communities, as well as discussion forums. Knowledge exchange and learning into GCE's work is essential for realizing GCE's strategic goals and vision, and the goals of its members and partners at national, regional, and international levels. Together with members and partners, GCE requires evidence and knowledge to influence political and social change and to keep up with the education policy changes that emerge in various contexts and globally. Join us and share your knowledge at www.campaignforeducation.org.
Thank you so much, Vicky. Apologies, colleagues, I realized halfway through that my video was off. It should have been on. So I've just rectified that. So indeed, could you please bring up the presentation, Vicky? Thank you. Just one slide backwards. Thank you. So indeed, knowledge exchange and learning is embedded in GCE's approaches to achieve our strategic goals. And I think we are all aware that GCE's strategic focus on strengthening the movement was integrated and adopted in 2019 with the 2019 to 2022, which is the current strategic plan. And one of the operational areas within building the movement or strengthening the GCE movement that we adopted was knowledge exchange and learning. And we are in this position today because we really want to practicalize all our processes and systemize them in a way that we can see the benefits of knowledge exchange and learning towards strengthening the movement. It is, however, important to note that there were already practices when it comes to knowledge exchange and learning long before the adoption of the 2019 to 2022 strategic plan at GCE, and those have always existed. But with the current process and the most recent developments that we have actually put in place recently, the focus was more on really restructuring them and systemizing them so that all members, partners, as well as other stakeholders that we consider them to be beneficial to GCE members can contribute to our knowledge exchange and learning goals. So the development of the knowledge exchange and learning strategy, as well as investing on systems such as the Learning Hub, the online courses, and the recent developments that we have seen that were actually enforced by going virtually following the lockdowns regulations that we all lived in during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Are some of the recent developments that we feel they will be critical towards enhancing GCE's knowledge exchange and learning approaches, and also to enhance this long-standing practice in a more of a formalized and more standardized approaches. And next slide, please. So we have developed knowledge exchange and learning strategy in the last 3 months, which I think most of you have informed the process through the membership survey that we shared, as well as the regional consultation meetings that we organized. So the knowledge exchange and learning and learning strategy has been produced for the purpose of guiding the contributions of various GCE stakeholders into achieving our learning goals, which we all share together as the GCE movement. The primary objective of the knowledge exchange and learning strategy is to ensure that the current and the future work of the GCE movement is informed by the lessons that we are all harvesting from the work that we are doing, the best practices from different stakeholders, as well as the practices to collaborate in what we are doing in terms of delivering impactful advocacy initiatives. So we have followed a number of processes in terms of the consultation. And one of those, as I've mentioned, it was the consultation with the regional networks, with all GCE's regional networks, as well as the constituencies. And we delivered a membership-wide survey where we gathered, we wanted to get inputs from all GCE members about their current learning initiatives and how they see them fitting into GCE's learning goals and objectives. We then came up with 3 learning pillars from the responses that we received, as well as the current initiatives and the experiences that we have actually gained from all the practices that we put in place in the before we actually developed the strategy. One of those pillars is really focused on establishing knowledge sharing systems, and our key targeted outcome for that is to ensure that we develop and implement the processes as well as systems that allow us to systematically and implicitly share knowledge within the GCE movement, as well as ensuring that our knowledge exchange and learning initiatives do not end within the movement, but then they reach the wider global movement as well as external audiences. So the development of the knowledge exchange and learning strategy, as well as the Learning Hub system, the Learning Hub platform, and other systems that we will be presenting to you as we go forward. We will, they are actually there to inform this, this first pillar and to achieve this expected outcome that is aligned to this pillar. The second pillar that we wanted to actually make sure that our learning initiatives are focused into and also contribute to is driving cross-learning and membership engagement. This, of course, we want to facilitate all processes that relate to membership engagement and collaborations, and as well as cross-learning in some of the key topics that we find that they are cutting across our work areas as the movement of many stakeholders at national level, regional level, as well as the global level. And then the third pillar that we found that it is quite critical to include in our knowledge exchange and learning strategy is the one that relates to structured learning, which means GCE is going to be really focused on developing, producing, and working with members and partners to come up with processes such as online trainings, online courses, workshops as an approach to structured learning. This is mainly focused on strengthening the capacity of the GCE movement, and again, these will be organized in thematic and technical areas that we feel like they are important for advancing the work of the GCE movement, as well as ensuring that the best practices and successes are replicated in different contextual realities. Next slide, please. Okay, so here are some of the examples of the current initiatives that we saw that they actually do make strong linkages to these three pillars that we derived. And I think, as I've already indicated, that the development of the knowledge exchange and learning strategy has been the central piece, or has been the central deliverable that had to be produced before we could actually introduce all these processes to the membership, as well as to partners, to ensure that there is that common understanding of the goals of the GCE learning goals that we want to achieve, as well as communicating what are these pillars and how do all the existing learning initiatives that are not only delivered by the GCE Secretariat, but from the membership as well, from the partners, and also as well from any other external learning opportunities that we may come across that we feel like they are relevant for advancing knowledge exchange and learning at GCE. So the strategy has been produced as that guide to provide that guide and to ensure that all learning initiatives from across the board are actually linked, and they have a room in the implementation of the GCE knowledge exchange and learning strategy. And secondary to that, it's the reconfiguration and alignment of all the existing, of the previously existing knowledge exchange and learning initiatives, and making sure that we do find those linkages in terms of which learning pillars do they relate to, and which learning outcomes are we looking to achieve, or are we in the position to achieve through their implementation, based on the presentation that I made on from the previous slide, where we presented the expected outcomes from each pillar. And then Another example is already the development and rollout of these new processes, the establishment of the Knowledge Exchange and Learning Hub, the Learning Hub, as well as the online courses that we are looking to actually make sure that you do get the full background and the way about going on them this afternoon. And all those are really critical for the implementation of the Knowledge Exchange and Learning Strategy. So moving forward into the second pillar, where we are looking at driving cross-learning and membership engagement. I think most of us are aware that there has always been, I think from 2019, GCE started to really be active in organizing and facilitating discussions within the membership, as well as with other GCE stakeholders through the communities of practice. We have reconfigured those and kind of gave them a new identity to call them the learning communities, because we want to be, we are looking into driving that learning culture at GCE, and the learning communities now are already one of those structures that were existing, and we are looking to make sure that at least what has been happening in terms of those learning communities with the education financing community of practice, education in emergencies, as well as inclusive education community of practice, we maintain it and ensure that it aligns with the outcomes that we want to achieve from cross-learning and membership engagement, and ensuring that we drive that membership ownership of those learning spaces as well, and the engagement. As again, membership, the Learning Hub again will be a central spot again, where we are really looking at publishing and sharing resources and driving all elements that relate to cross-learning and membership engagement, together with the development of any learning materials and resources that are coming from the membership, and that we actually make sure that we publish those into the membership, ensuring that the hub is considered as the space where the missed opportunities, any missed opportunities when it comes to learning, the members can always come to and still catch up with what they they could have missed, or what they did not have time to participate in terms of all the online sessions that we would be having. They will be published on the Learning Hub. And then the last pillar, which relates to structured learning, is of course what I've already mentioned, that this would be the development and delivering all the online courses, like the one that we are going to present to you today, the webinars, the workshops, and the trainings. On these, in some of the key thematic and technical topics that the membership finds relevant and useful in terms of really advancing the work that is done across the board. All right, Vicky, you can move to the next slide. So to ensure that the strategy and its implementation actually achieves the intended learning goals and objectives, we have derived 4 underlying principles, which we felt they were critical for the implementation, and to ensure that the goals that we wanted to achieve are achievable and realistic. And those are better outlined or fully outlined in the knowledge exchange and learning strategy, but I am just going to be sharing briefly about them on what we are aiming to actually achieve with embedding these principles as the principles to guide the implementation of this strategy. So the first one relates to developing the culture of sharing knowledge as the movement. So there is a need for GCE stakeholders to evolve towards the culture of voluntarily sharing knowledge, and as well as their experiences, their views, and their successes, their challenges, their failures, and also for us to make sure that those are integrated or become important in informing any other new ways in terms of planning and implementing advocacy approaches. So the first principle is just to ensure that we drive that culture where sharing becomes a well-recognized culture within the movement, without the need to actually push, and ensuring that we do make use of the resources and the platforms that we have put in place to guide knowledge exchange and learning. So the critical focus will be just really driving that sharing culture. And then also there is a need for the adoption and use of technology-based systems to ensure that we do reach the global movement that we are, because considering that GCE is a global movement and we are operating in different contexts, in different time zones, and we have different topics that of our members in different regions are interested mostly to deal with or to actually focus their work on. It will be very important going forward to ensure that at least we do adopt these technology-based infrastructures to ensure that we do drive, like, the culture can easily be adopted without the need for members, partners, and all the stakeholders to actually find a common time to meet, or a common event to meet and share knowledge. So with the use of technology, it means that members can really be encouraged to share their experiences, their views at any given time that feels convenient to them. So hence we are launching the use of the Learning Hub, and as well as we are taking an approach where the online, the courses or any topics that we feel they're important for GCE, they will be published online as e-learning courses for members to actually take part in them and to catch up if they have missed any opportunities. And then the third principle, which we felt was really critical, is for the implementation of the knowledge exchange and learning strategy is the need to take the full ownership of the knowledge exchange and learning. By that, we mean that there is a need for members of the GCE movement and partners to take full ownership and be committed in delivering and taking part in learning initiatives. Commitment and ownership, sometimes it does not really need that one is the one who's or a certain coalition or a regional coalition has to take ownership and don't be always looking to lead knowledge exchange and learning initiatives, but then they can also take part in learning initiatives that are organized by other GCE stakeholders, and ensuring that their own membership are aware of what is happening in the movement, and they are kept up to date. And we hope that the use of the Learning Hub will provide that opportunity for all members, as well as members of the members, as it will be looking at publishing all the learning initiatives that are taking part, that are actually planned and delivered, not just by the GCE Secretariat, but also from the membership and other GCE partners as well. And then lastly, the last principle relates to organizing structured, to having structured processes towards rolling out knowledge exchange and learning. And I think, as I've already touched on it, that the development of the knowledge exchange and Learning Strategy has that intention to provide members and partners with some sort of a guide on how they could actually see their own learning initiatives fit in within the GCE knowledge exchange and learning strategy, as well as how they could make a contribution and how their contributions are actually critical for the achievement of all these learning goals and the outcomes that we would like to achieve. So with the defined goals as well as the structures and processes, they are not really fixed. We are expecting that members will be engaging in other different processes that you might feel maybe they are not catered for in the knowledge exchange and learning strategy. But we would like to encourage you to please, if you do feel that there are some learning initiatives, if you feel that within the learning, structured learning pillar or cross-learning, there are some approaches that your coalition is undertaking or is using to achieve that, we would be more than happy to hear from you and actually to ensure that they are integrated in our knowledge exchange and learning strategy. Next slide, please, Vicky. So I am not going to spend a lot of time on this, but we just wanted to also share some of the views and some of the learning topics that we have managed to extract both from the work that has been going on within the GCE movement, from the GCE strategic plan, as well as from the responses that were received on the survey, that most of those learning topics, there is an indication that they relate to the 4 GCE strategic areas, and some of them they do cut across, and some of them, of course, are technical topics that we would be very happy to continue to actually expand on the list, especially for technical topics, just to hear how what are other technical topics that national coalitions, regional coalitions, and the international organizations are leading on, and how we can actually make sure as well that they are not ending with within your organization or your coalition or within the group of stakeholders that you have in your coalition, but then they can be expanded and be replicated or be shared wider with the GCE movement. So these are the topics that most of our learning currently, I think we can confidently say most of our current learning initiatives relate to, and any future development, we will continue updating the list of our learning areas and the list of our learning topics, and as we are getting as well a feedback from the membership, and as we see as well when you share your knowledge, your shared learning resources through the Learning Hub, if we do feel like we do not have a specific topic to link them to, then we will update the list and make provisions for all the learning materials and resources that we receive. So all of these, as you can see, they do have direct linkages and contribute to how GCE delivers the work the work that was planned in the current strategic plan. You can move on to the next slide, Vicky. So in terms of the way forward, the current training, the way forward for the implementation of the strategy, the current trainings on the Learning Hub are actually going to make the critical, are going to be critical for us to achieve the results that we have outlined in the knowledge exchange and learning strategy, and as well as the outcomes that we have outlined in relation to the 3 pillars that I've shared before. And we are We want to make sure that the Learning Hub is going to be that one-stop spot that will be driving knowledge sharing, cross-learning, as well as membership engagement and collaboration on how we can best use the lessons learned and the best practices from the work that we are doing to inform the future work and advocacy strategies of the GCE movement. So just to say, we are really invested in supporting the full adoption of the Learning Hub, as well as the implementation of the knowledge exchange and learning strategy. And so you will be hearing from us frequently, and if not more than frequently, because we are looking to ensure that there is a full understanding of what is the intention, and a full understanding of how to go about engaging with these platforms, as well as the strategy that we have developed, and also just to encourage members and partners to see that the implementation of the strategy is not for the GCE Secretariat, it is for the GCE movement. So we would like you to find a space and to actually make use of the platforms that we have provided for you to make contributions in the implementation of the KEL strategy, as well as contributing towards the achievement of the learning goals that we have defined. Okay, that is the end of the presentation that we have prepared for the focus, or for the purpose of looking on the background and our approach to knowledge exchange and learning. We are now going to move to exploring the platforms where the knowledge, the online courses, as well as the Learning Hub are hosted. And the first that we will do, we will be showing you how to go about engaging with the online courses that have been developed, and how to go about accessing and engaging, and what are the topics that are there. And I am going to hand over to Vicky to take you through that.
Thank you, Kuselwa. And thank you everyone for joining the training today. As Kuselwa mentioned, my name is Vicky Mogani, and I'm the Knowledge Management and Learning Officer at GCE. And I'll be taking you through some of the online platforms, giving you a brief demonstration on how they work and the functions that they provide for GCE. So as Kuselwa mentioned, we'll begin with the online courses today. I'm really excited to be introducing GCE online courses to everyone. As part of the knowledge exchange and learning strategy that Kuselwa has presented, we are rolling out these e-learning courses in line with the third pillar of the strategy, which is capacity building. We all know how important capacity building is to our work, and how integral it is to build our capacity and improve our program management. And so I'll begin with an introduction of the objectives of GCE online courses and what they offer, and then I'll move into the demonstration and introduction of how to access the online courses. So like I mentioned, GCE has undertaken the formation of online courses available to all members and partners to enable capacity building and to strengthen the knowledge of members around the topics within GCE's strategic objectives, as well as within GCE's operational areas. The purpose of GCE online courses is to facilitate learning through academic style courses on topics ranging across the thematic areas and topics of the GCE strategic objectives. And currently, there are 2 courses on these topics on the GCE e-learning platform. The first is on education financing, and the second is on advocacy. And today we'll go through each course in detail to see what they offer and to learn more. So in terms of the objectives of the online courses, it's to provide a learning platform as I mentioned, for national, regional, international members, as well as GCE stakeholders and partners, to build capacity on various themes and topics at their own pace. And that will be a key feature that you will be able to access the online courses and complete them at your own pace. The second objective is to build the capacity of members, partners, and coalitions in both GCE thematic areas and topics, and to facilitate innovation and improvement of program delivery across the movement. So without further ado, I will share my screen and show you all about the e-learning platform. Okay, great. I hope you can all see my screen. So this is the GCE e-learning platform. And today I'll begin by sharing with you how to access the platform, how to navigate the platform, as well as how to navigate the different courses that are currently available. So first, in terms of accessing the platform, you can see that I came directly here to learn.campaignforeducation.org, which is one way that you will be able to access the platform by going directly to the website of the link that we will share after this training as well. The second way you can access the online courses, which we'll go over in more detail later, is through the GCE Learning Hub. And there's a way to come directly to this online platform from there. And lastly, you can also go through the GCE website, through the learning page on the GCE website. So for the purposes of today's training and this demonstration, I'll focus on the e-learning platform directly, which, as I mentioned, is learn.campaignforeducation.org. So in terms of accessing the platform itself, each member, partner, GCE stakeholder has two options. The first is you can either log in as a guest. So I'm going to click on login and just show you the login options. So as you can see here, once you get to the page, you'll be redirected to the login page. Your first option is to log in as a guest. If you do log in as a guest, you have limited access to earning badges after completing the courses, as well as to being identifiable as someone who's registered for the course. So you do have that option, but most of the only thing you'll be able to do is peruse through the courses, be able to read through them, but without being able to track them directly. So for this training, I'm going to log in with my username and password, which is the second way you could log in. And with this way, you are able to see the course, not only see the courses, but register and enroll for them, be able to track all activities, and be able to engage in discussion groups with other students. So we will be sharing a form after this training where you'll be able to register to get a login to access if you do not have one already. So like I said, I will log in with my username and password, which is already saved here. Okay, great. So once I'm logged in, I can see the homepage, which you were able to see before logging in as well. But now I have a lot more options. And you can see here on the homepage, there's two menus, the horizontal menu right here, as well as the vertical menu on the left. And so let's begin with the top menu. You can access the courses through here. But the other key feature is you are able to change your language here so that you're able to see the menu items in your preferred language. My preferred language is English. If you do prefer to see the languages, the menu items in French, you can choose French, and it will change the majority of the menu items into French. So you can see on the left, you're able to see everything in French. So I'll switch back to English. It's important to note that the translation is just for the basic menu items. But all the courses are available in different languages as well, which we'll go over. So on the home page, you have a welcome and introduction. There's a search feature here that you can search for courses, but the easiest way to access the courses is through the course categories page here. And we'll go into each of those courses. There's the courses in French, Portuguese, English, and Spanish at the moment. And then below that, you can see site announcements. For example, the announcement that Spanish courses will be uploaded soon. And any other announcements will be uploading here onto the announcements section of the homepage. And then finally, on the homepage, you can also see the courses that you're enrolled in. So I'm enrolled in education financing, and I'll be able to see that. If you're also enrolled in advocacy, you'll be able to see the advocacy course as well. So that is the homepage. It's quite simple and user-friendly to allow you to access the courses directly. On the left menu, there's more options for more details about the page. There's the homepage. There's a dashboard where you are able to see more information about your personal learning, and you'd be able to see your badges as well. There's a calendar where you can access events being held for online courses, depending on whether or not if we have an advocacy related event or education financing that could be relevant for the courses, we would post them there. You can also see your private files there on the left. You have a content bank, and finally, you're able to see your courses, for example, financing education. So that is, in a nutshell, what you see as soon as you log into the e-learning platform, and you are able to navigate it easily as a guest or if you have a login. So based on that, I will now move on to show you the courses themselves. Like I said, you can access the courses here on the homepage, and you can see them in different languages. So for the purposes of this training, I'll access them in English. I'll also show you the French just so you can see them, but I'll start with English. Okay, great. So once you click on the course, you are redirected right here to the two available courses in English, which is education financing and advocacy. I'll start with education financing. So because I'm an administrator, I can see add new course or manage courses, but you will not be able to see those items. You'll just see the two courses as they're listed. So I'll click into education financing. Please let me know as I go along if you're not able to see my screen or any technical issues. Once I'm in the education financing page, it redirects me to the homepage for this particular course in English. And this course is very detailed, very interesting. And you can see here on the homepage, the first aspect is announcements. So again, if there are any announcements specific to this course, they'll be posted here, for example, new modules or anything of that nature. And then the second aspect is the learning objectives of the education financing course. So this is where you can go through and determine if this course would be interesting to you, relevant to your work, and be able to determine, whether or not you'll take the course, or even if you have already enrolled, determine what you'll be learning. So as you can see here, there's 4 objectives for the education financing course. The first one is understanding the human rights and practical background of education financing globally. The second objective is to comprehend country-level budgeting and key principles behind education financing on a national level, including through case studies. So there's case studies throughout the courses where you can actually see practical examples of what is being explained. The third objective is to explore taxation and corruption and why they matter for education financing, which I think could be relevant to all of us here. And the fourth is to gain a high-level understanding of global education financing trends, why they are important, and how they play into various contexts, including members' own contexts. So the great thing about the education financing course is that it covers all the basics of financing mechanisms, as you can see, and of education. And it includes human rights as the background as well, and dives deep into practical examples for each aspect. So it covers a wide range of topics within education financing, and you're able to find them all here. The courses are divided into modules to cover this range of topics. And you can see here in the education financing, I'll scroll down, there's 8 modules, all the way to 8. The different modules cover a range of topics, like I said. Module 1 covers the human rights overview, as well as the background, where the need lies for education financing, while still offering practical examples, as you can see here, for different countries. And then module 2 covers budgets, revenues, and expenditures, and goes into detail about that, again, with practical case studies and examples. Module 3 covers taxation and equity, why it matters, why it's relevant, and how it's related to education financing. Module 4, as you can see here, covers the practicalities of tax evasion and revenues, as well as the importance of monitoring and tracking budgets with data, and how that is relevant to education as well, education financing. Module 5, as you can see here, covers budgets as well, and the importance of monitoring and tracking budgets with data. Module 6 is a continuation of that and covers public expenditure tracking. And as you can see in each module, it has case studies as well to add the practical element and give that, the e-learning a very real examples. Module 7 also covers budget analysis. And finally, Module 8 brings it all together to understand what budget advocacy really is and how we can take part in that. So that's the overview of the education financing. And as you can see, there's videos within each module, which can be really helpful, again, for bringing the realities of the context to bear. And in fact, you can go through the modules and determine what is relevant to you. And for majority of the modules, once you complete them, you're able to earn a badge. And the badge, is, again, if you have a login, and can really be good for professional development or for use in advocacy spaces. So there's that benefit for e-learning as well. So just to show you how the course is structured, I'll open one of the modules as well. If I click on module 1, it shows me to go to lesson 1.1.1. So I'll start with that one. And this is what the page looks like once I click on the lesson. And then I will click enter. There is, continuous prompts that are user-friendly and easy to use, that you can see where to go from each area. So I can click exit activity here on the right if I need to. So I've already started this course. So for me, it's showing resume. I will actually open another one that I have not started. So I'll go to lesson 1.2.1 and enter, start a new attempt. So once you click on the lesson, it does take a few seconds to load while it's bringing up the activity and the lesson. Just wait a few moments for it to load. So as we're waiting for it to load, there we go. Yeah, so I just want to show you also the menu items up here. You can go between modules here horizontally at the top. Again, exit the activity if you need to. So once it does load, it shows you the course and, you know, again, a prompt that's easy to find, easy to follow, where you can press start. And then you're into the lesson now and you can press start. The first aspect of every lesson is to show you the learning outcomes. So this is lesson 1.1.2 on sustainable development goals and how they are related to education financing. So the first learning outcome is, what are sustainable development goals? The second one is, what do they say about education and financing of education? And the third learning outcome is, what is the progress on achieving the sustainable development goals? Once you've read through the learning outcomes, you know what to expect and you can hit continue. And then it goes straight into outcome one. What are sustainable development goals? And you can continue and read through everything and begin learning. There's prompts within each activity, and unless you complete the prompts, you're not able to continue. So here I click select to learn more, where I can read about what are sustainable development goals. Once I have selected it, then the continue button shows up here and I can continue. And we're now into outcome two. What do they say about education and financing of education? Can hit continue. And I think the internet is slow now, but that is the basics of it. And you'll be able to continue throughout the learning outcomes. You can see here what is relevant to education financing for the Sustainable Development Goals. From among the 17 goals, goal 4 and 17 relate to education and financing. You can click on each goal to learn more. As soon as you've clicked and read through the lessons, then the continue button will show up again. So each of them are quite interactive. There's photos, there's different aspects to learn about in each lesson, different activities. And once you're done, like I said, you continue to the next module. You can always go back here, or it will prompt you once you do finish module 1 to go to module 2. So let me just quickly show you the advocacy course as well. So I'll go back to the home page. So since I'm not enrolled in the advocacy course, I don't see it here. I can go down as well. I can say courses in English and click on the advocacy course. So similar to the education financing course, the first welcome page has announcements as well as the objectives of the e-learning course and a discussion board that you'll be able to discuss with other students who are taking the course. The learning objectives of the advocacy course is 1, to define the meaning of advocacy in technical terms and explore examples of advocacy in the education sector. 2 is to understand how to create a theory of change and logic framework based on a problem and how to frame issues when conducting advocacy. 3 is how to engage with government actors and policymakers on important issues of focus within various contexts and situations. And the fourth objective is to comprehend the usage of data, monitoring and evaluation, measuring effectiveness, and resource mobilization in advocacy. So the similar setup, it's a similar setup to the education financing, which is under different modules. The advocacy course has fewer modules. It has 4 modules. And each of them, once again, has relevant readings, activities, and interactive learning that you can engage in. So once again, similarly, you can go into the first lesson and it says, what is advocacy? And you can say enter. It is a bit slow with the loading, but it will load the activities and you'll be able to go through them one by one. And they also, similarly to the education financing course, have different structures and interactions and different ways you can engage with the course itself. So I'll go back to the home page now just to save time. So that's essentially the e-learning platform in a nutshell. I'll just go into courses in French. It's the same exact format, education financing or advocacy, and you can choose and go into it and begin the course in your preferred language. So that's essentially the e-learning platform. Like I said, it's very easy to use, user-friendly. The courses, as you can see, are very detailed, very interesting, very interactive, and can really give you a good insight into education financing and advocacy as well, and build capacity and just, you know, enhance the way we operate as GCE in the long run. So in terms of how you can request a login, like I said, we will share a form that you can send to me directly, and I'll be able to share a login. If you do want to just go in and look through the courses, you can use the guest login for now as well. If you do have any questions about this brief demonstration I've shared, please send them through the Q&A button on your screen, as Kuselwa had mentioned, and we will address them towards the end of the session. So now I would like to go into the training of the Learning Hub itself. It's completely linked to the e-learning courses, just housed on a different platform. And I'll also show you how to access the e-learning courses from the Learning Hub. So I'll begin by sharing how to access the GCE Learning Hub. The hub will be available to and accessible to all GCE members, partners, as relevant of GCE, and will be an area that you can share knowledge and information at any given time, as well as access the information. Myself and Kuselwa, as the knowledge management and learning focal points from the Secretariat, will set up and grant access to all members and users. Some of you might have already seen the form to request access to the hub, and some of you might already have access, but we will have one user focal point for each coalition. So please utilize the form that we will share after this training as well to let us know who from your organizations and coalitions should be granted access to the hub. So I'll begin, like I said, with how to access the Learning Hub. Okay. So as you can see here, I'm on the GCE website. And this is the first way that you can access the Learning Hub, and probably the easiest and most efficient. Once you receive a login from myself, you come right here to the homepage of GCE website, and you can click here on the top right on Members Portal. So I'll click on Members Portal. Because I am logged in, I went straight to the homepage of the Learning Hub. But once you click on Members Portal, you will be, I will show you actually very quickly the page you should see. So once you click on Members Portal, you're brought here to Microsoft to sign into your account. So depending on if you have already used Microsoft, you can say use another account or go straight into your login with the details that I provide you with. So even if you do have a Microsoft account, you'll need new login details. So we log in. Okay, it should take us to, 1 second. So it should take us to the Learning Hub homepage, which I'll share now. And this is the screen you should see once you're logged in correctly. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to access from the website, and it's one way, an easier way to access the Learning Hub for all members and partners. And then, like I said, you can also access online courses from the Gce Learning Hub, which the button is here on the homepage. So I'll go through the homepage in detail, but the e-learning platform that we've just discussed is easily accessible once you do have a login to the Gce Learning Hub. So what I'll do now is give an overview of all the menu items that you see here in the hub. And if you do get, if you don't see this page once you've logged in, or if you get a message to request access to the hub, you can reach out to me or Kuselwa, and we can troubleshoot that for you as well. So this is the Gce Learning Hub. Welcome. I'm going to begin the training by giving an overview of all the pages and functions. I'll start most importantly by the built-in translation that you see here on the top right. You can select your language here. Like we said, it's available in all 5 Gce languages, and you can select the language that you prefer to view the menu items in. So once I choose French, then it shows me French. And then, you know, depending on your preferred language, you can choose what makes sense. So I'll go back to English. So to give you an introduction with to the landing page, or this homepage right here, you are not able to see what I see here, which is edit, because I've been creating, but you'll be logged in as a user, so you'll see just the page as it is. Once you scroll down, the first feature you'll see is the Welcome to the Knowledge and Learning Hub, and then you'll be able to see upcoming events. We thought to put this first and center on the page so that you can just see what's coming up on your calendar and anything you might be interested in attending. We are going to be relying on you members and partners to, and Gce members and organizations to add events to this and to send events to us that we can add to this that might be interesting to other Gce members. And that will be the idea of sharing events and everything. So you can see here on September 21st, which we are currently in, is the Learning Hub training. If I click on that, I'll be able to see all the details for the Zoom meeting as well. And then you can see on tomorrow on the 22nd, there's an event for the Kenya Kicks Africa 19 Hub and National Dialogue as well, and so on and so forth. So it's easy to navigate and easily accessible. And then moving on the home page, And just to note as well for the events, we will be posting external events, not just GC Secretariat events, or events that might be interesting to GC members. And we will kind of walk you through during the interactive part of this training how to share a meeting or event that you think might be interesting as well. The next section on the homepage that you see here on the right is the quick links. Quick links is, like I said, online courses to the e-learning platform. It's a link to go right there. And then 2 links of how you can share events and meetings or share knowledge and resources. And we'll go through in detail how you can do both of those. Then the homepage also features the Twitter feed, the GC Twitter feed here on the right that you can go through and peruse. Social media can also be a good way to learn. And then on the left, you can see the GC blog posts. So this is really where we'll be posting blogs sent in by members, blogs written by the Secretariat, as well as external knowledge and blog posts that are deemed relevant to GCE, which you can see here at the bottom as well. So the homepage doesn't have a lot of information right from the beginning, but it has all the relevant and important information that you need to begin learning. So I'll go now to the next menu item here at the top, which is about the hub, to give an overview of the purposes and objective of the Gce Learning Hub. Once you do click on about the hub, this is really just an informational area that is essentially a background page that gives you an overview of the purposes and objectives of the Gce Learning Hub. So the rationale is explained here as soon as you log in, as soon as you get to this page. And it goes into the fact that GCE's work as a movement is centered around its strategic goals and objectives, and that our success is determined by our collective impact. So the rationale behind the hub and why it's important for GCE. In terms of the purposes that the hub will serve, that's also here and there about the hub page. As you can see here, the first one is membership engagement. The Learning Hub will serve the purpose of ensuring members are engaged with each other's work as well as GCE's work. And it will ensure that we are aligned and engaged with one another. As a membership movement, this is key, and it's important that we all facilitate and bring in that sharing culture that Kusela mentioned as well. Secondly, the hub will serve the purpose of shared learning and online collaboration, the next 2. These are some of the most key purposes of the hub because it will be able to provide a space to share learning resources that are produced at the regional, national, or international level. And again, it's based on the belief that GCE members have rich knowledge to share, and being able to provide that space to enable this will boost online collaboration. For example, members interested in work being done cross-regionally, on gender work being done in a different region, will be able to access and collaborate with one another, access information and collaborate with one another. The other vital purpose of the Learning Hub will be to serve as a repository. With all the resources being uploaded, members will be able to access them anytime and collect materials and resources as needed. And an online repository will also allow for the Learning Hub to serve as a resource for any work being done across the movement. So you'll be able to come in and access all the materials and collect them as needed. Lastly, the hub will allow us to connect with thematic experts through learning communities, and different members being able to join discussion groups and collaborate with members and partners that are experts in certain areas. For example, if there are members who are experts in gender equality programs, and as we roll out the gender strategy, or in education financing, then we can engage and collaborate on one platform. Once again, these are the same links on the homepage on how to contribute to the hub and learning. You can share events and you can share knowledge. And there's also the link to the online courses as well. So like I said, we will go through each of these and how you can contribute as well. So moving on to the next menu item, which is the Learning Center. So the Learning Center is really where will serve as the main page to access all the learning materials across the GCE strategic objectives, thematic areas, as well as other areas of work that members are prioritizing and working on. My colleague Kusela will go over the Learning Center in more detail, but for now, I'll share with you a basic overview of what it provides. So here on the homepage of the Learning Center, you'll be able to see the background of knowledge exchange and learning at GCE and the principles behind it, which include building a shared culture, putting in place technology-based infrastructure, ownership by members, and adoption of a structured process. Next is the GCE Learning Agenda that's based on the knowledge exchange and learning strategy that Kusela shared. Just to note, these are not all the topics on GCE's Learning Agenda. This is just the topics displayed by the platform, but we know GCE's Learning Agenda will span various other topics that members are prioritizing, that the Secretariat as well prioritizes. Next on the homepage here, you can see upcoming events and previous events, notes and highlights. And this is really where you can come and access information from events that maybe you've seen on the homepage, or events that have taken place that you were not able to attend, and see the title, the type, the date, meeting and time, the notes and highlights, as well as any attachments that could be relevant. And so members and partners across the movement who've facilitated great events that perhaps were not within the time frame that you could join, you could still come here and view these events and the details from them. And then there's also a calendar here as well for the purposes of upcoming events. The next menu item is equally important, which is the news and impact stories. So this is really where all the resources sent in by members will be housed. We'll spend time later on in the training covering how best to utilize this page and to find the resources you're looking for. But for now, just to see that you can see some of the content that's already been added, GCE Youth Action Month dialogue series, and the relevant information. Once you click here, you can see the information there as well. Depending on what you're interested in, you'll be able to scroll through and it will show the most recent resources here on the left. The next part of this page is the documents and information related to the resources being shared. So you can come here as well, and Kusela will show you how to filter through and really be able to find what you're looking for. So this will be the center of all GCE learning and information across the movement that members have shared that we are able to see. And then the library is really where we'll house all the documents for the resources and publications that have been shared. So you can see here, there's the domestic financing TOR, terms of reference, the gender strategy. So whatever you're looking for, you'll be able to come, filter through it and find it. And once again, Kusela will show us in more detail how we can do that. And then next we have GCE Learning Communities. And as we mentioned, GCE Learning Communities will be the forums for discussions about each GCE community of practice, as well as general discussions. So within the community of practice page, we'll be able to share upcoming learning community events, news and impact stories, have a library with the documentation that's relevant, and so on. So now let's move on to the next menu item, which is the policy advocacy item, or advocacy and campaigns. And we'll do policy advocacy, then campaigns. We instilled this page to really be an informational space and a center where you can see all information about ongoing policy and advocacy spaces of GCE. So once I go into policy advocacy, The homepage really provides a background on policy advocacy at GCE, what programs are going on, what the purposes are, and then it's followed by the various policy advocacy forums at GCE. At the moment, we can see there's the GPE Policy Advocacy Forum, the Interagency Network for Education in Emergencies, Education Cannot Wait, and the CCNGO Coordination Group. So each of these spaces will provide background into what's going on within that policy advocacy space, but also resources and documents and information, general information about that space. So for example, I'll go into Global Partnership for Education. So here you can see upcoming GPE events that would be relevant to GPE, and some of these may be repeated from the general events homepage. You can also go into resources and documents. And here's where we'll upload all relevant information sent in either by GPE or how GPE is working with the Secretariat, or learning documents that have been created, for example, relating to the leg and so on. And then the recycle bin, etc. So the same will apply for the other policy advocacy spaces, the same format of events and resources and documents. And then now moving on to campaigns. So the campaigns page, similar to the policy advocacy page, serves as an informational space. Firstly, gives background on GCE campaigns and the objectives behind that, and then goes into the different campaigns ongoing at GCE. The format is similar, where it will serve as a center for ongoing GCE campaigns. For example, the 1 Billion Voices campaign, if I click into it, I'll be able to see information and resources on the 1 Billion Voices campaign, as well as any events coming up related to it as well. And some of these events, like I mentioned, will really mostly be on the homepage, so that they are accessible to everyone. So that is the policy advocacy and campaigns. And then the last two menu items, once again, are purely informational, but we do depend on members to send in the membership information. As some of you may know, we are in the process of the membership update for GCE members. And so the membership update process will really enable us to show all information of members. If I try click members information again. Okay, it does not seem to be working. I'll try the constituency engagements first. Okay, so let me go over the constituency information menu item. So the hub will provide closed spaces for constituency engagement based on a regional and constituent basis. And this will be really closed spaces for the different regions, including Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, Europe and North America, Latin America, Middle East, as well as specific constituents that have closed spaces, such as the youth-led constituency or the board member space. And in terms of what is within these groups, for example, I'll go into the youth-led constituency. So you can see upcoming events for youth, and what is specifically the purpose of these closed pages is to give administration access to youth who will be accessing this pages on their own for their specific learning and discussions, webinars and meetings, and to provide that space where they can still come to the one platform, learn from other members, while at the same time be able to regroup on their own, see their upcoming events, resources and publications, as well as have a discussion board to share information. So I will try and show you the membership information page again. Okay, great. Yeah, so this is the membership information page where, like I said, once we have the membership update process and everything is completed, we'll be able to add specific information for the country, the region, coalition names, acronyms, the national coordinator, their phone number and email, and it would be great to have contact information that all members can access, as well as their website. And this will really allow members to be able to contact each other at any given time as needed. So I'll return to the homepage now. That is an overview of the Gce Learning Hub and its features. If you do have any questions, please continue to add them through the Q&A button and we'll address them at the end. And once we come back, we're going to take a short break. Once we come back, we'll go into more detail of how to contribute to the hub and other details as well. But thank you so much for your attention. I know that's a lot of information, so please do let us know if you have any questions. And I think now we can take a break, if I'm not wrong, for 5 minutes and return to hear more. Okay, everyone, welcome back. Are we good on the interpretation and everything? Okay, great.
Yes, colleagues, we are quite good. We can go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So welcome back, everyone, from that short break. Like I said before, we'll now be taking some time to show you how to contribute to the Learning Hub. And, you know, to really emphasize that the success of the Gce Learning Hub will be dependent on members sharing resources, events, and collaborating online. And that's really how we'll get the Learning Hub to serve all of us and to really be a platform for learning and engagement. So now we'll move into contributing to the hub. My colleague Kusela will show you how to contribute from a user perspective and how you'll be able to share knowledge or events. And then I will demonstrate how we'll upload the resources from an administrative perspective. So Kusela, over to you to share your screen.
Thank you, Vicky. I am doing that right now.
Great.
Okay, I'm just trying to get back to the home page. Okay, colleagues. So as Vicky indicated, we have quick links on the home page to actually make sure that there is an easy way to get to the form where you can share the resources that you want us to publish on the Learning Hub, as well as the upcoming learning events that you might have from your coalitions, and to let other GCE members as well as other external stakeholders know on how to actually be part of those events that your coalition is organizing. So the first link that Vicky talked about is share events and meetings. And when one clicks on the link, it actually opens a form. And I think, as you can see here, it opened a form for us to be able to populate the information about the event that we would like to share. I'm just going to try to move these icons from my home page without. Just going to stop sharing and okay, great. I think they have moved down. So the form opens up, and that it has specific questions that the user can follow in terms of the sharing the information about their own upcoming events. It could be the learning events or any meetings that the coalition has planned. And the form is in English, but then there is also an option for users to choose how they want to view the form. If they want to view the questions in French, they can do that. And we'll go back to English, where we actually just be showing how to populate that. There is already a form that I've populated so that we don't take time really filling information. I would like to share information about the global learning launch, the global launch of the Learning Hub that will be coming on the 30th of September. And the next question is about who is actually sharing the information. And so the user would just have to fill in their own details and go to the next question is about the start date. When does the event start? If the event is over a number of days, then one has the ability to indicate that the event would last a couple of days, or it will, if it's just one day, the end date would still be the same. And the following question will be about the time of the event. What time does it start? And what needs to be, what we could actually emphasize here as well is to ensure that when we are filling the details about the time of the event, it is important to indicate the time zone as well, so that we communicate, or when we are publishing it on the calendar, we select the time in which the event will be starting in the local time of the country that has shared the learning event. Where the location, if the event is face-to-face or it's online, one can indicate that. And for online events, there is also an ability to actually upload the link for the users of the hub to access the learning event, or to become part or join the learning event. And any additional information, it could be the agenda, the program, the rationale of the learning event that has been planned, and the email address of the person who is contributing. And then one would just submit. And upon submitting the form, the user would get a feedback just to indicate that the submission has been shared with the GCE Secretariat, and then thank the user, of course, for their submission and that it has been submitted for publication. And we will receive a notification that there has been a new contribution received from the coalition, and for us to publish from our end. So that would be the contribution towards the listing any upcoming learning events, as well as listing events on the calendar. When it comes to contributing, I'm just going to move on, Vicky, to contributing learning resources and materials, so that when you take over, you just cover both is covered from my end. So when it comes to contributing knowledge and resources, because everything that we are going to publish in the Learning Hub, as much as it will be coming, most of them will be coming from the GCE Secretariat, we are really relying a lot from the members to really share their views, their experiences, their knowledge, their lessons that they've learned from their own initiatives. So the use of the shared knowledge and resources will be very critical for members to actually communicate and share those resources with us. So this is a link on the homepage, where the one that says share knowledge and resources. And when one clicks on this link, it opens a form that we have customized for members to contribute or to share their contributions for publication to the Learning Hub. As it is still opening, I'm just going to be, yes, so that now that it has opened. So yeah, so this is the form that will come up when the user wants to share their materials, resources, and there's different formats of resources that users can feel free to share with us. We will be showing shortly as well how to actually make sure that, because the resources, the documents, as well as the stories that we are going to publish, we are hoping that we will be receiving the contributions from the members through this approach. And so the first thing to do when the form comes up is to fill the title of the resource of the material that one is sharing, if it is the story or if it is a blog that has already been published from the website of the coalition, and that is also welcomed. We just would like to get the title as it is published on your website, and the name of the contributing coalition. I've already pre-populated some details about how maybe a coalition from Malawi would submit a material for us to publish on the hub. So an email address of the contributor, and there are more questions, of course, for the resources than they are when it comes to submitting contributions for the events. So one of the additional questions that one sees in contributing the resources is how the resource relates to GCE strategic objectives, and have the 4 strategic objectives, strategic areas actually listed in the form for one to actually make a selection. One can make up to actually select all if it relates to all of them, or select 2 if it relates to 2 strategic areas. So for this is only relates to education financing. And in the event that the material or the resource that is being contributed relate to specific strategic areas of the coalition that are not listed as GCE's strategic area, the coalitions have also the ability to just indicate by using the other field, just to type whatever strategic area that in their context or in their coalition, the resource that they are contributing relates to or aligns with. And then the next question relates to linking or tagging the resource to the thematic areas according to the learning topics that we communicated earlier, that we mentioned earlier, as being GCE's most common thematic areas or learning topics, and the list will still be expanded again. So, but the coalitions or the users have the freedom to actually select as well as many thematic topics as possible, and also to indicate if they feel like the form does not provide or is not providing any suitable options for them. And then the next question will be about the type of the resource that the coalition is submitting, whether it is a case study or it's a presentation, it's a video, it's a success story, or it's just, you know, a document or a publication from research. It can be anything that the users are interested in sharing and publishing in the Learning Hub. And again, if the options that are provided do not provide for what the user might be looking for, there's also an option to indicate or to specify other. And then also the language as well, the users will be required to indicate which language is the material on, so that if we need additional support with synthesizing, if the paper, if you would like it to be published as a blog, if it is too long, we might need support in synthesizing it and maybe translating it. So that's just that is the indication in which we would like to get from the contributor. And if it has already been published in other websites or the website of your coalition, we would also like to get the link if it's possible, or if it's already on your social media platforms, the link to access those for more information. And there's also an ability to upload it if it's a photo, or if it's a PDF file, images, videos, anything, they can be uploaded as supporting document and then be submitted. As soon as it is is submitted, again, the user would get feedback indicating that the response was submitted, the resource was submitted successfully for publishing by the GCE Secretariat. And again, we will be getting a notification about all the contributed materials, and Vicky will be now demonstrating in terms of now how those submissions are going to be published in the Learning Center, which we will house all the learning materials and stories, as well as the documents that have been submitted. Over to you, Vicky.
Thank you, Kuselwa. Okay, I will share my screen to show you all how the materials that Kuselwa just submitted will be shared on the platform. So I'll share my screen on the hub again. Great. So since I am the administrator, like I said, I'm able to see edit buttons or add new buttons. So I'll see Kuselwa's event come in as she submitted the form. And then I will say, okay, I'll add this to the hub. So I'll click on add event. And based on the information she sent through the form, I'll just populate it into the events platform. She noted that it would be on September 30th and end on September 30th between 13:30 and 15:30. So you can see I have options to put in whatever the event is. She noted the event will be online and she sent a meeting link. And I can select that this is a meeting. And if she sent any additional information, including the agenda, then I would include it here as well, noting that this will be the GCE global launch of the Learning Hub. So once I have all the information there, it's quite simple. Then I will hit save, and it's creating the event. So now it says successfully created the event. Once I go back to the home page, all users will be able to see that event coming up on September 30th here, the global launch of the Learning Hub. And if they click on it, then they'll see the link and all other information relevant as well. Regarding the resource as well, so for the resource, I'll upload it to the Learning Center where all users will be able to come and access resources. I'll go to News and Impact Stories. And then because I'm an editor, once again, I can click News, and then I'll say I'm adding a post. And then based on the information Kuselwa sent through the form again, I'll put in the title of the resource, the impact of debt servicing in Malawi. And then I will add the resource here. Like Kuselwa mentioned, depending on whether it's a longer resource and we need to just synthesize it, then we will be able to do that. I'm just going to, for the purposes of this training, I will just copy paste what she sent me. And she also sent within her resource picture, so I will just add it there. A graphic with a graph, etc. And then I will delete any additionals. once I review the resource she sent me, that it's fine and that everything, all the information, relevant information has been included, as well as determine the format is good to go and to share with other GCE members. I will also ensure, which Kusela will show you during her presentation, that it is within the right filters, that you are able to search for it. So let me add here. So based on what she submitted, then I'll add the thematic area, which is education budget tracking. And then for the strategic area, I'll add education financing as well. And for the source, I'll say it came from a national coalition, from the Malawi coalition. And so those details have been saved. And then I'm able now to click post news, post it. So once I go back to news and impact stories, once again, because it's the most recent resource, it just shows up right here. And there you have it. So that's how to contribute to the hub, quite simple. From my end is when I just add the resources to the hub, which is also quite simple. So those will be once again available to you on the homepage. Like Kusela mentioned, share events and meetings and share knowledge and resources. I'll hand over back to Kusela to take us through the Learning Center to conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you so much. I am just looking to share my screen one more time. Yes, colleagues, so the Learning Center is the last stop that we are going to be demonstrating today. And I think as we indicated when Vicky was going through all the options that are available and the items and the features, the Learning Center is going to be that one-stop page for all the learning opportunities, as well as the learning materials that you are sharing with us, where they are going to be published and be linked to the right thematic areas as well as strategic areas, so that when you interact and engage with the platform, you can use the various forms of filters that we have actually set up for you to be able to always access the information that you are looking for in an easy manner, and be able to search for it as well. So that's where everything is going to be housed, and I'm just going to be showing you now its features, its items, and how to go about using the filters for all the resources that we have published so far, as well as going forward, we will publish. So I think Vicky did quite a good job in going through the main items of the Learning Center. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing that, because it was already done. And so when moving along from the homepage, which we already covered what it will contain in terms of the information, one of the main pages that where the stories and the successes that we are receiving and that we are publishing, they will be accessible from the news and impact stories button that you see on the left. I have now clicked on it, and you can see the recent material, the recent content that Vicky has just posted about the impact of debt servicing in Malawi, and other content that we have posted. Any recent contents will be showing on the right side of the most recent. Sorry, I didn't want to open that. Will be showing on the right side. So when it comes to, apologies, just need to refresh this. So when it comes to viewing, because the way it shows, it just shows as a preview on the page. The story will show whether it's a story or an announcement or a blog. It will be showing as a preview, which will require the user to actually click on it to open and actually view the full content of it. So I am going to open this the story that Vicky just posted about the impact of debt servicing in Malawi. And now you can see when you open it, you can see the full details of it. When one opens it, it just opens as a new page. Well, actually, it opens from the same page, but then it just opens a page where you can view the whole, the full details of the content that was posted. And then when one views the story as well, you will be able to see how many people have actually viewed, how many users have viewed the content that was published. For now, it's only one, and users will be able to add their comments on the on the content that has been published. If there are any questions that relate to the content that has been published, users will be able to actually ask questions or to add any comments that they feel like they are relevant for this post. So I'm just gonna go ahead, and it's like and post my comment. So it's like any social media platforms. I think most of us are quite familiar with a lot of social media platforms and how to actually interact with the content that has been published. So now, as you can see on the content that Vicky published, it shows that there is one comment on it, and it also shows the actual comment, where does it come from. And the nice thing about this comment, the use of this comment functionality, is that when one clicks on who has actually commented, who has actually submitted or shared their comment on the post, it pulls up their details about the details that are shared or that are saved in the platform for the user. These would be, their contact information, which organizations are they from, and I think, as Vicky indicated, we will be able to be updating all the details of the users based on the information that we will be getting from the membership update processes. We have shared the new forms for all GCE members to share their up-to-date information. So this is how those details will become handy for the use of the hub as well, in ensuring that members have that, they do have exposure to one another and a way to interact with one another directly. So I am going to go back here and close. So the content that I've just opened, because it was posted as a story here, it is not a link to an external site. And now I'm going to show you, if we happened to post a story or news that we have actually imported from sites besides or without creating it here on SharePoint. For instance, this story that you see on the right side about the GCE Youth Action Month dialogue series, it was posted on GCE's website, and we were able to import it to SharePoint and to the Learning Hub for the members to be able to actually get to know what has been published from the main website of GCE. So when the user opens the stories that are that are imported from external sources, like this story from the GCE website, the platform will take them out, but it will open the story directly from where it was actually imported from. So when we post this story, we just embed the link in our post, so that users can be able to engage with any of this information. It doesn't matter which websites or platforms they will be published from, but then we can bring them into the Learning Hub for them to actually see how they relate to GCE's thematic areas as well as the strategic areas, and why they were relevant for publishing in the Learning Hub. And also another thing is that the good thing is that it gets tagged, even though it's coming from the external sources, it can still be linked to the right, to the relevant thematic area, to the relevant strategic area, as well as if it's coming from the coalition, the source will still be mentioned that the national coalition was the source for that story. So that's how it's going to work. Now, in terms of filtering these stories, because we know that the more we use the Learning Hub, this will be crowded. There's going to be a lot of stories, and we still want, even if the user did not manage to actually get on the hub for a week, when they come on the following week or the following month, they can still catch up with the topics that they feel like they are most relevant for them. So for that reason, we have actually provided the space where all the news and the impact stories that will be published in the hub, they are collected in this library, and the users will be able to filter according to the thematic areas that they are interested in terms of viewing. For instance, you can see in this page, in this list, that we have up to probably 8 stories that were published, but then the page above doesn't show 8 stories. It only shows 4 stories. So if the user is interested in viewing a story that, for instance, this story about literacy for human-centered recovery, which was posted last week, users have the ability to actually come here and just view from this list and determine which stories they would like to still view. If the list is too long, there is an option to actually filter the list of stories that you want to see. If the user would like to see stories that were posted in the hub and that relate to education financing, all they need to do is just to click education financing, and the list will pull up all the stories that were tagged or that were indicated to relate to education financing. As you can see now, we had the impact of debt servicing, which is the most recent post that Vicky shared in Malawi as relating to education financing. So now the list is only showing the stories that relate to that. And if the users would also like to see, stories that were indicated to be cross-cutting, then they can also select as many thematic areas as possible, but it is advisable that if one is interested in a specific theme, it would be good to know which GCE strategic area does it relate to. And I think with most of us are aware that if you are interested to see things that relate to debt servicing, education, budget tracking, and financing of education in the context of emergencies, all of those will be tagged to education financing. And also, if one would like to see stories that relate to transformative education, equality, or other stories that, other areas that were tagged, which don't relate to these strategic areas, there's also an option to view stories that way. So this list really provides the functionality where users will be able to just filter by this strategic areas as well as the thematic areas, which topics or which posts they would like the list to show, and which stories they would like to interact with. So once from this page, from this list, users can just click on the story and then it will just open and as it was published to view the full content. And if it was imported from an external website, it will take them to where the story was imported from. So that's how the news and stories, as the blogs, announcement, political statements will be published in the Learning Hub, and the use of the filters to actually select and to view only the stories that the user would be interested in, instead of searching one by one or going through a long list in terms of which stories actually relate to what interests them. Okay, so that's how to filter stories. I'm going to move on now to the library, which will be housing all the documents and the resources that we will be publishing in the hub, as Vicky has demonstrated. Again, here we have on the right side the full list with brief details that the user can actually view and see about all the documents that are uploaded on the hub. And as you can see, the first document that you see in the list, when you view all, it's the domestic finance in terms of reference consultancy. I think it was published on the GCE website, and there the thematic area has been indicated to relate to domestic and international financing. And it relates to GCE's strategic area on education financing, and it comes from the Global Secretariat. And again, the information about when was the document shared on the Learning Hub, and the content type, is it a document, is it a presentation, which we will be able to indicate, in the size of the paper as well. Those are the kind of the brief information that you get in a glance view about these documents that any documents that are listed in the Learning Hub. So again, here, the use of the filters on the left side. So this side is mainly exists to just filter what you want to see on your right side. So again, here, for instance, if we would like to see documents that have been indicated to relate to equality and non-discrimination, the system will be able to pull up all the documents that have been indicated that they relate to equality and non-discrimination strategic area. So members will be able to now see and actually determine if the content, if the documents that appear in their list, they would like to view them. So I would say, okay, the one would probably want to view the GCE gender strategy once it comes up, and when they do that, it opens in the page, and there is an ability to actually view it online or to download it. So the way it shows when one really clicks on the title of the document first, it opens on another page as and it just shows the full details, the entire content of the document. Actually, this one is still pulling up, and I think it's because my internet is slow. And there is also, once the users see that, okay, we would like to actually engage further, I would like to download this document, I would like to have it in my PC, not just to view it online, there is also the ability to do that. So users can choose to download the document when they click on the three dots here on the side next to the title or next to the name of the document. They can choose to download the paper or to actually share it with other users or external audiences that do not have access to the platform. It does not need to be shared with the users of the platform only. When one chooses to share the document, it can go to any person, even if they are not considered to be users of the platform. So one can just populate their email addresses and then send the document, and it will go straight to their email addresses for them to actually as an attachment. Or users can also choose to share the link that would be suitable mostly for those that actually have the access to the Learning Hub, because if we are sharing the link with the external audiences that do not have the link to the Learning Hub, it's best to actually use their email addresses so that the document goes as an attachment. So that is the first way, that is the first approach in terms of filtering information. And again, here, many options can be used. One can choose to actually use different strategic areas to filter information. And this is happening in real time. As soon as you click the strategic area that you are interested in or the topic that you are interested in, on the right side, the library updates in real time and brings up all the information and all the documents that exist in the library in relation to the thematic area that or the strategic area that you have indicated to have an interest to view documents for. And the same again here in the same page again, as I said, the previous one is about the strategic areas, filtering by strategic areas. But if the user would feels that filtering by strategic areas does not service them, they can use the thematic areas as well to really pull out in with using more specifics about how the document that they would like. So let's say one would like to pull up anything that relates to gender equality. So by just clicking that the GCE gender strategy as one of the documents that was indicated to relate to gender equality, it will come up. And anything that relates, let's say if there were publications that or documents that were said to were published to relate to education budget monitoring, again because the OC3 report that we published on the platform, it's one of the resources that relate to the topic. So one can select maybe just one relevant topic or two, it doesn't matter how many, but I think it makes more sense to make use of the filters to just dive deep and rearrange what comes up in terms of this one specific learning topic that we're interested in, or the thematic area that you are interested in. So that's how the filters work, and that's how the documents and anything in the library will be published and be linked to these areas which we have deemed to be of interest for GCE's learning agenda. And then lastly, on the same page, in the same library page, we can also have the ability to publish videos or to share videos for members, videos and media, photos as well. So we would be encouraging all the users when they share their contributions and anything that they want to be published in the Learning Hub, they should not feel limited to only documents and stories. If there is a good video that you feel that you would like members to be, to be aware of, from your coalition. If there are photos that you would like to share with us, we are always looking out looking out to having more photos for our publishing purposes, so that when we post our stories, they do have visuals that relate, that reflect the reality at the from the national levels, from the regional levels, and actually just from the grounds where the GCE work is taking place. So that's another way where we would really encourage, when you contribute your resources, make sure if you could really look into sharing any kind of resources that we have with us, they would be appreciated, and they will be posted also in our media library. For instance, ASPE shared, I think in the last 2 weeks, a video about the youth action research. I think it was a good resource on how members can engage with their process of strengthening their capacity when it comes to youth action research. And we have been able to actually post that on the hub, and also link it to the right library as well as the media resource, and one can choose to view all the media resources, videos or photos online, and they can choose to reshare the content. And here is the up to download, and also to share the content with external audiences if there is a need to do that. So that's how we will be publishing on the media library, and hoping that members will be able to access this content as well. And then on the lastly, one of the available, I think as Vicky indicated earlier, one of the available options in this page is the discussions on the learning communities, which I am trying to open now. So the learning communities, and as Vicky indicated, that they will be, these discussion boards will provide the Learning Hub users with the space to actually interact with one another, ask questions, follow up on any relevant actions, whether they are coming from the communities of practice or the learning communities that GCE is coordinating, or they are coming from any, they relate to any learning topics that they would like to know more about. So for instance, here, there is just a page where one user was just, trying to ask a question from other users in terms of resolving the issue that they were facing with the Learning Hub. This is an example, and it was posted to the learning community, and it had an attachment. So that's why you see that there is a photo, because we just wanted to also demonstrate that those interactions are not limited to just writing. You can we can use and attach documents here as well, attach photos, attach videos, but we have to make sure that those relate to what is being inquired, or to what is being opened as a discussion. So the nice thing about this, the learning communities, is that the an open discussion can be started by any member. It does not have to be started or be posted by from the GCE Secretariat. Members will be able to actually create, post, and publish any, start any discussions that they feel like they would like to know more about, or they would like to hear the experiences of other members on what they are concerned about. And this is, again, here, the content in these pages can be filtered. Let's say one is interested to view the discussions that have been happening in the education and emergencies learning community. There is also education financing learning community. There is also inclusive education learning communities. Those are the three learning communities that are coordinated by the GCE Secretariat. And then there is also an option for an open learning community. Let's say if the topic doesn't relate to any of those learning communities, one can actually post it as an open learning community discussion, open discussion. So let's say one would want to view discussions that relate to education and emergencies learning community. So the page will only pull up the discussions on the in this site that have been indicated or that have been directed to the education in emergencies learning community. And if one would like to pull up topics that have been directed to the open learning community without really taking any of those specific topic specific learning communities, and the page or the site will pull up only the discussions on that. And when the discussion comes up, one can see, okay, when was the discussion started, who started the discussion, what is the title of the discussion, and what is it about, and who created it, and which learning community does it relate to? Does it have an attachment? If it does have an attachment, it will show that as well. And which thematic area does it relate to? And it will be posted as other if it is for open learning communities. And which country or region does the person who started the discussion come from, or is it? And so that's what is going to be shown here. So when one opens the post, they have an ability to actually comment, to respond, and to actually see the full details if and how many people have actually submitted their responses. So the page will be saving all the interactions relating to the discussion that has been started by the users. So that's how the this learning center will be really focused on driving that membership engagement, collaboration, and providing the library for knowledge exchange and learning resources, storing any material in different formats. And we are hoping that you will find the formats accessible and user-friendly to you. And again, all the pages and all the sites are accessible in different languages. One can always choose which language to view the page on. However, now when one views the content that has been published, for instance, if it's a document, if the document is only in English, the Learning Hub will not automatically translate that. So the document will maintain the language in which they were developed in. So that's just one thing that I would like to actually clarify, so that there is no confusion that the hub will automatically translate all the documents in the library. And the same as the media, the videos. If the video is produced in English, it will stay in English, and the users will only be able to listen to the content from the original language, which was used to actually produce it. So I'm going to stop there and see if we have any questions from the question box, and see if there are any questions that are coming up now, as we have reached the end of our training session. And I would like to just see if there are any questions that are coming up or comment that you would like to share. I'm just going to stop sharing now. So we did not, okay, we don't have a question.
Selwa, we had one question on the, Krista asked if we can provide homepage access to the platform. And I just noted to her that she needs a login. So again, if you want to access the platform, if you'd like a login and you don't have login information now, then you can just either email me or send it to the membership form, membership enrollment form, which is here. And then you'll be able to gain access to, once I send you a login and instructions, then you'll be able to gain access to the hub. I think that was the only question so far.
Okay, thank you, Vicky. I'm just gonna wait a minute to see if there's anything that comes up. But for now, it will just be really encourage everyone to really follow up with providing us with their details in the form, and because really the adoption of the Learning Hub as well as the online courses, the use of those will really pick up once most of of the GCE members and other relevant stakeholders that we would like to give them access to the platform, and once they actually do get the access to it, and for us to actually see the success of it. We also rely on getting the content. I think it's going to become very useful once the content really starts flowing in. And without the content, then the Learning Hub, it will not allow us to reach the goals as well as the learning outcomes that we said we want to achieve through those learning pillars we have outlined in the knowledge exchange and learning strategy. And so, yeah, I think the way forward would just be us really frequently getting in touch with you and ensuring that we are addressing any technical support requirements that you might have towards accessing the platform and towards really contributing it. And this was the first training session which we actually planned for this week, and we are going to deliver 5 more sessions within the period of this week and the upcoming week until the end of the month for different language groups. But all the training sessions, as with the current training that we are sitting on, they are delivered in English. So if those that were part of this call felt like, okay, they would still like to see more or to get to listen more about the certain aspect of and the items that we went through there, you are more than welcome to join the sessions that we communicated via members mail for tomorrow. I think one is tomorrow, and that one will offer interpretation into Spanish, and we'll also have one for Arabic and one for Portuguese, and the last one on the 30th will be delivered in English with no interpretation. I think it's quite safe to end the session, and I would like to thank everyone who has been really patient to listen to everything that we shared during this session, and managed to stay the whole time, because we understand that these sessions are quite long, so it's quite a lot for everyone to be seated in one place for 2.5 hours, and we really appreciate the time that you have given to this, as well as the commitment And we are really excited with this new era at GCE, where knowledge exchange and learning will become accessible to everyone, and will become, we hope it's going to become a focus area almost for all of GCE members, and everyone will be motivated, encouraged to actually play their part and share their contributions, and share their approaches, their successes, their challenges, and the work that they do, because learning doesn't only come from successes. We also have to reflect on what has been challenging, on where we failed, and how can we actually improve our approaches going forward. So thank you so much. Any last words, Vicky?
No, Kuselwa, I am good. Thank you everyone again, and we are excited to move forward, and we will follow up with any of the links, as well as the recording and information that is needed.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone, and we will make sure that the notes and the recordings of this are accessible on the Learning Hub as well. Yes. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Hi, Salma, you can end the stream.